and this is why it's so complicated to explain this, but like you want to get an idea of these different pieces. I immediately started thinking of the life cycle of a junior explorer. So that is something presented. Exploration Insights is a really cool newsletter. I don't subscribe to it, but I really like finding info. Brent Cook and Joe Mazumdar, they always present on this. And actually it goes back to Pierre Lassonde and maybe even further, but this is applied for, decades now. And it's a great way to separate exploration from mining success, which gets further into, early stage explorer and developer. But I'm going to, take a step back to Northern Shield. And Jade made a great point. Like Alicanto, you could have made money before you even got to the drilling. And I personally did, but I didn't make that money on Northern Shield. I don't think any of us did. But this is like where the really smart people, they got in at 1 cent or 2 cents. And I have to do a shout out to TV, who is on CEO.ca. He's the one, he presented this publicly before anybody else. Like CEO.ca was the place to be there. And I think he bought up a bunch of shares at 1 or 2 cents. Well, where's it trading now? It even went up to 29 cents before you even had any drilling. You could have made your fortune right there. And that's not that anyone could have done that, but like the newsletters picked up on it. All this pumping, like all this stuff happened, and there's legitimate reasons for it, but it all happened way before the drilling. Now we are at the real exploration level now, and it could actually make more money, but the least risked time to do it was back when TV presented it. And I saw his articles and they were really good, but I didn't buy in. Otherwise, I'd be saying this more from a happy standpoint. But anyway, like that's where you're separating the speculator mentality from the actual exploration mining. But Jay said so many good things. I need to get into that point a little more. I think I'm not sure if this was Fabi's original question of going in this direction, but it is so important to start to try to find these, whether it's a deposit that's already larger or, been developed, or whether it's an early stage explorer, you want something that can get big because you will get the exponential returns that way. I'm always trying to think, if this becomes a big discovery or a big deposit, will it get acquired and who will acquire it? And an example of showing how desperate companies are for acquisitions was Goldcorp's acquisition of Kaminak. I was very surprised because Kaminak, definitely under 200,000 ounces a year based on the study. I can't remember exactly, but I think it was closer to 150,000 ounces a year throughout the mine life. That is small for Goldcorp. Goldcorp, what is it, like a 3 million, 4 million ounce producer? So I think they've been more public about this, but they are only buying that because there's additional exploration potential in that part of the Yukon. And I am sure they're hoping it gets up to, this becomes a big district and it gets up to like 300,000 ounces a year. But it's an unusual acquisition, and they paid a lot of money for a company like that, which shows the desperation. These companies will pay massive, massive sums if you can get over 200,000 ounces, let alone 300,000, 400,000. That's what they really need. They need 400,000, 500,000. And so we have a huge lack of this. And using that life cycle of a junior explorer, the early exploration stage, what's cool is like, as I was describing before, you can maybe figure out that something goes from literally zero to maybe 10 million ounce potential in the matter of a few weeks or a few months. Mm-hmm. And a major will pay big money for it without even going through that whole development process. So that's what I really want. I think that's what everybody wants. Like that's literally, you could have the 100 baggers right there. But after you get through that initial exploration stage and you get into the development, a lot of times, the interest will fall off. And a good example of that, you'll see it with GoldQuest. GoldQuest is a great example because you had that 20 or 25 bagger with the initial discovery, and it could have gotten bigger, but it didn't, and it came back down. But in the last year, they've been developing it, and it's coincided with the rise in gold and a little bit of copper, but mostly gold, and so you've seen it come back. So it fits that life cycle, and you could still make a lot of money. But and I'm not sure where that's headed. I own a few shares of that one, but that's a very different risk set. And it's already constrained. I mean, that could still be a district, but you're not expecting the immediate, like they're just going to pack on the millions of ounces. And so that's a good one that you can look at the charts and you can see it's went from one stage to another stage, and you can make money either way. But whatever you're looking at, you're looking for big. You want to be thinking about who's going to potentially acquire your stock in the end. And just one side note, it's great when someone acquires it because you don't have to worry about selling at the top. I mean, you'll have time to think about it because it's going to get wrapped up in this big major Barrick or Newmont. And so that and a lot of times, like, we're well, I'm playing with less money. Jay's he's playing with a little more money than I am, but I think Fabby's more in my boat. I mean, when you're only buying and selling a few shares, it's easier to sell at tops just based on speculation. But for people who have hundreds of thousands or millions, they need that acquisition for the liquidity factor. And so that's just something to keep in mind. When you have big money in this, you really want the M&A. It just makes everything easier to eventually get your money out.
Good point.
Yeah,
Bill, sorry. Go ahead, Jay.
I just for any retail investors who are trying to get into a lot of these stocks, once you start trading them, and I think for a lot of U.S. investors, once they start playing juniors, naturally they go to the over the counter, so they buy these shares OTC. You'll learn very quickly how illiquid these junior mining stocks are, and the earlier stage you get, the smaller the market cap. I mean, it could be a nightmare. Liquidating if you want to, because it could turn into one of those Hotel California kind of deals. So getting in sometimes is not the hard part. It's trying to get out. So if you can get the acquisition and get shares of one of the majors like a Goldcorp, things like that for you to get out later.